Hello, welcome to Upcycle Art Journals, and thank you to all my new subscribers. What a fun realization when I got online and saw that I had a bunch more subscribers. I thought I better do a video on some of the things I'm making for the craft fair. So I kind of have my hand in a lot of different things. I'm going to be doing a 3-day craft fair. I'm going to be having a spot at a vendor market, and then I have an Etsy shop. So trying to get things made for all these different venues. Now these, I put a video out, a flip through of these adorable pattern journals. So I thought what I'd do is I saved one as to be my example. I wasn't real fond of this missing part of the label on the top, so I thought that would be perfect for a flip through for people to look through. That's not like in a sealed container for the fair, that they can kind of thumb through it and see. So what you're going to do is you're going to have your pattern paper like this. Usually there is this one has it, a folder. It's just like a little envelope. So you're going to open up the envelope and you're going to cut it along this side and the bottom and open it all up. If you have any tears, then what I've been doing is just taking a little piece of Scotch tape. This is going to get glued, so you're not going to see it anyway, just to help reinforce that. So just that little spot there. I have just been using Elmer's school glue, the glue sticks for this. You use a lot of it, and I was being stingy and didn't want to use my Tombow or a more expensive one. So I had a bunch of these left from doing school. So I thought we're going to go ahead and use them up. And if I was not sewing around the edges, I would not use this. So if you're not going to sew yours, use a stronger glue. But I know that I'm going to sew mine, so I pretty much just want it to stand in place while it gets to the sewing machine. So that's the goal of the glue, and some of the middle, because I'm not going to be able to sew in the middle. And just like that, we used up another one. I should show how many I've used up, trying to get 15-20 of these made. That's okay. I had a whole box of them from Amazon, so you have it, use it. Don't worry about having special glue. Use what you have. And I am going to take a bone folder and kind of just push it out to get some air bubbles out. Now this top flap we're not going to glue. I decided not to close that. Some people I've seen have closed it and not used it in the journal, but I'm actually going to flap it onto the inside of the journal so that we can see it. I want most of the pattern to be seen best as we could. Okay, so that's going to be glued on there. Let that sit for a little bit. Now, I am going to put a strip of fabric down the middle. That's where the spine's going to be. And for one, it's going to secure it a little bit better. Two, it looks cute to have something on it. There was just one I did that I didn't have that. Let's see if I can pull that out easily. Well, here's the pattern I didn't do. So with this one, these McCall's and Simplicity has some like this, where it has this along the edge. I don't want to cover that up. That's very similar to some of the greeting card journals I have in my shop that use reproduction greeting cards that look just like this and have that along the edge. So I am going to need a bigger folder for these. They're just a little bit bigger, and I'm not gonna want to cover that up. Yeah, I have 3 of those. So those ones I'll have to figure out a different thing, because I don't want to put fabric, but we are going to have to strengthen it. Maybe I'll put the fabric on the inside. That might work. So we have those ones. So I pre-selected, look how cute that goes with that little baby's outfit. So finding all these fabrics, thankfully I am a used to be quilter, now fabric collector. So that helps when you're needing a variety of different kinds of fabrics. I actually pulled out my retro, I would say some of them are even 1930s reproduction prints. I really liked making things in that style. So I have quite a few that fit along that style, and it fits really nice with this pattern. I do like the torn edge. You just cut it, tear it, you get that nice little edge on it. So that's gonna go right along there. And I do have this Fabric Fusion, and I did buy some fabric tack, but that's upstairs, so we're gonna go ahead and use this one. Now I can't help, I have to cover up some of the number because I wanted enough on this side to go over when I put my fold it on my seam. So I have to cover a little bit of the number on the pattern, but that's not really a big deal. So I'm going to put that right there. The cute little babies aren't covered, them in their little outfits. And I'm going to go along this edge, kind of see where it ends up right there by the words. And again, we're kind of just trying to get it to stay in place. This is where it's going to be glued on here, but this is where our holes are going to be also. So it is going to be held on in the middle with our stitching. Okay, we're going to let that dry. While that's drying, I have a bunch of, they call these charms. They're 5 by 5 inch. I used to make tote bags out of them, and I would buy the charm packs. So I pulled those out because these work perfect for the interior pockets. And what I'm going to do is, take a variety of these 5 by 5s. I've been folding them in half and sewing along this side, the top and the bottom. Then this one would still be open. That's going to get just really lightly glued inside the cover. And when I sew along the cover, that bottom part's going to get sewn right into the journal. So I'm going to take some of these squares, but I wanted to see which ones maybe would go with this. We can pull out, which we kind of have the purple theme going. So I think we're going to go with these purples and get our pockets ready while that's drying. That fabric's drying. We're gonna get those pockets ready, and then we're gonna come around and cut all our excess file folder off. If you're not a retired quilter, or you don't have a sewing machine, or you don't have fabric, use scrapbook paper. It will look just as nice. I just happen to have all of this, so I thought, why not use it? I've been saving it for 15 years. It might as well go into a journal and look nice there. So I'm more into the trying to use it. The folders, a lot of them are old ones from when I would do school, or I would have printables in them. So I'm upcycling those. The fabric, this is just a little piece that I had. So trying to upcycle as much as we can for that. So I sewed these little pockets. And this is, really a project that's easy to mass make. Let me show you. I have just a little pile of them. Earlier today, I just opened up all the patterns, put them on the file folder, chose a fabric that would go with it, set those aside while they're drying. I was out running some errands, and left the one. Oh, there's another one of Nicole's that I didn't want to cover. So easy to get that far, and then the next thing with those is I'll go ahead and I'll sew a bunch of different pockets for them. But I wanted to have one that we could work with. So that should be dry enough, especially because we're going to go through and sew it. I'm going to cut off our tail of this. And then this flap, I want to put it on this side. And just real gently, not to cut that flap at all. Kind of line it up. Because this flap, we're going to turn onto the inside and glue it in there. Now I decided to use file folders instead of scrapbook paper. for a couple reasons. I don't have a lot of scrapbook paper. You know, I scrapbooked and I've made lots of pretties, so I have a lot of vintage style scrapbook paper, but I don't have a lot that would go with these. And I liked the idea of there being a writing space with having the file folder, and honestly the file folder is probably more sturdy than some of the scrapbook papers, and I have them in abundance. So it was a perfect opportunity to use up some of those. I had a whole box from Amazon I'd gotten one time, you know, use them for doing taxes or, you know, different things. That has a loose spot on it. Right up here. I did not get that all the way glued. Which that has time to glue before we sew in the signatures, so lots of time for that. Okay, I'm gonna find my fold. It kind of will have the natural fold with the pattern, but I'm just gonna make sure we get it folded well. Fabric just doesn't want to stick. Okay, like that. We'll probably trim off the ends so that won't be a problem. Okay, so there's our little girls, and we're gonna put, I think I'll use the tacky glue for, well, yeah, I will. Now these don't get sewn into the folder except on the very bottom, so that's why we went ahead and did 3 sides, so it looks like they're you sewed the whole thing, which we did, and then we're going to put it right in there, and this one's going to go right in there. And when I sew around the cover, it's going to take those ones in. Now, to make sure that happens, I'm going to attach them on the sides with a little bit of tacky glue. And you probably could use the fabric one too, but that was such a tiny little Aleene's fabric one that I'm going to go ahead and just use the tacky glue. I think it should hold well, and I can always come back through and reattach it if it didn't with a different kind of glue. We just want it to hold down long enough to sew that bottom part. Okay, so now we have our pockets, we have our little spine on there, got it cut down. So the next thing to do is take it to the sewing machine and sew along the edges. Again, if you don't have a sewing machine, don't worry about it. You don't have to sew the edges. We secured it down with the glue stick. If you don't sew it, you might want to use a different kind of glue, maybe even a Mod Podge. I've seen people use Mod Podge and it makes it more glossy. But I do have a sewing capability, so I'm going to go and sew that. Okay, I got that all sewed. Now when I sew, I always start in the fabric so that when I go backwards and forwards, it's kind of hiding it in that bottom fabric, and then just go all the way around, making sure to catch the pockets on the inside. Okay, so that's it for getting the structure of the cover made. So we have our cover, and I think we'll do a part 2 because nobody wants to watch a half-hour video. We all lose interest so quickly. I do. So this is the cover. So take a chance, go find your patterns, work on your cover, get it done, and come back for part 2 of how we're going to attach our signature and what we're going to put in it. Thanks. Hope you have a great rest of your day.